Who shone the brightest?
One special honourable mention here was the constant high-fiving between Marama and Debbie. Wasn't that great? But I think the stand-up performer in that debate had to go to Marama Davidson. She was really on fire tonight, driving home her points and not sounding like they were rehearsed. She knew her policy well, and she was able to take it to David Seymour mainly. Well, without sounding too rehearsed.
Right, Simon Wilson.
I actually have to agree. I thought the defining moment came when Marama Davidson not just knew her policy, but actually used the body language, did everything to say, Luxon's got to have to work with these two guys. We don't have trouble working together, but look at them. And I thought that was really, that kind of nailed a really big issue.
Okay, Fran O'Sullivan?
Oh, I thought Marama's eyebrows, actually. I mean, she was enormously expressive and to the point. She used body language brilliantly. But I did feel at some stage, about the two of them, Marama and Debbie, for God's sake, get a room. This is sort of, I want to hear, a little bit more than that kind of equivalent of a bromance. I actually want to hear them debating on some points as well.
There was quite a double act going on there,
it was
wasn't
huge, but it was wonderful. It was great television.
Great television.
Is there a problem with that?
No?
No.
No. Don't we want them to be able to work together? Don't we want them to be able to work together?
No.
You've
got to talk about...
When I say we,
No, I don't.
Okay.
You've got to talk about the actual, the baseline of the policies.
Right.
And the policies, I don't think, apart from wealth tax, came through very strongly. And on that score, actually, I have to praise them because they have actually done what Labor won't do, and that is put their hand up for a wealth tax. And I think they made that point very well.
Okay, so I'm just going to... we're doing some quick totals during the actual debate as to who spoke the most. By far away, it was David Seymour, all right? He was on message, then Winston, then Marama, then Debbie. Does that surprise you? He seemed to be just on message but scripted, Jenna?
Yeah, and he was going round and round and round in circles. He didn't actually use the time that he used up all that well. I thought Debbie Ngāruapaka used the few amount of words that she spoke really well. She had brilliant lines on what they would do with the wealth tax, talking about tough on crime, soft on poverty, nailed some really quick, easy sound bites that are really easily digestible. David Seymour lost the crowd.
All right, David Seymour lost the crowd. What do you think, Simon?
I think it's the same. I think it was a really good example of, because you talk a lot, it doesn't mean that people are going to keep listening. And it seemed to me the dynamic of the debate was very much Marama and Debbie versus Winston. And David Seymour was...
Although, okay, but there was Winston versus David, right? And Winston was trying to play...
And then that happened.
Then that happened, right? And Winston was trying to play the adult in the room. Was he successful in that?
It was very Reaganite, actually, if you have been alive that long and can remember back that far. And that I won't exploit my age, and I'm not prepared to exploit for political purposes the youth and experience of my opponent, and except he did, of course, and had some brilliant lines, and I think he debated, but David would not debate back. And David just played to the camera, gave a fairly, pro forma exposition of policies, but, apart from the hackneyed line on Kate Shepherd, never had any zingers.
You got an eye roll for that one.
Yes, he did.
So let's talk about standout moments. Simon, do you think there was a standout?
I did say that standout moment before with Marama, but I think, when Winston Peters said the adults in the room and we want them to keep their trousers on, a standout moment for sheer oddity.
That was weird.
We'll remember that, but what we'll remember is the oddity of it, and I'm not sure, that's quite on brand for him.
He got a punch in with the I'm not a cis white man, though. I thought that was quite cool.
Well,
and interestingly, when you look about it, all four, and I don't think we've seen this before, but all four are Māori to some degree or other. And I think the leaders and the power brokers at this election, be it that the two on the side are different to the two in the middle and, in terms of their
very
advocacy, but this is quite extraordinary.
In terms of Debbie and Marama, sort of like using the word mātua to Winston, but not really. They didn't really mean it, did they, Jenna?
I'm not going to speak on behalf of them on that one.
It's just interesting, that dynamic, though, wasn't it, Simon?
I'm not sure why you would want to be sceptical of that. It's a pretty standard thing to do.
Okay, they weren't taking the mickey at all?
I don't think so.
Well, his riposte was you're not on the marae now.
Yeah,
so,
that's...
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it was going both ways, the banter.
Yeah, do you think there was any possibility that David and Winston are going to work together, Jenna?
No. Look at them. They can't agree on anything. And I think David Seymour, I think one of Winston's best jabs at him actually was he's not baiting, he is imitating. It is quite incredible to watch the real life transformation of David Seymour into a kind of low rent Winston Peters when he hates the guy.
Okay. Simon.
Well, I think the defining moment on that question came when Winston Peters said to David Seymour, "I will sort you out around the cabinet table," and that's not working together. That's not even indicating we're going to try to work together.
Oh, I know, politics, makes bedfellows of the most interesting and dynamic people, and we've seen that in multiple administrations over the years. If it comes down to it, I think they will make a deal for power.
You do?
If they have to, yes, I do. And it really also comes down if Chris Luxon, what he can do as well,
Well, he's keeping all his options open, isn't he?
They can't sit around a cabinet table together,
No.
right? So one of them is going to have to sit on the outside. Those two cannot sit at the cabinet table.
Well, if they try, it may not last very long.
Yeah. So there will be the coalition of chaos.
Well, I think it's pretty clear.
So I just finally, that was a very spirited debate. We got a lot of interesting one-liners and everything like that. You still say that Marama was the winner, everybody? Or not? Not you, Fran?
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Her eyebrows
Her eyebrows were the winner.
And her body language.
Closely followed by Winston Peters' eye rolls.
Okay. Eyebrows and eye rolls. I think that's how we're going to remember it. Look, that's,
and that moment when Winston Peters stuck up his hand.
Okay.
For a high
All
five,
right.
but...
I'm sorry. We've got to go. Thank you so much to Simon, Jenna and Fran.